He was achieving a great lot, and he had learned a lot through other ways, through experience. And what we wanted to do was build on that experience he had and look at ways that we could develop him as an individual, as a talented individual. And what we looked at was giving him accreditation for his experience and sharing, having discussions with him about the things he achieved, what he went through, what skills he used, what he did in his spare time. He was involved in charities, he was in committees, he was presenting. These are all life skills, these are all really important things. And the thing was, he was actually contributing a high level. He might not have had a degree, but this guy was actually highly valued and he was actually seen as talent within our organisation. So what we did was we actually identified a programme, a degree programme that he could go on. We went through a very regimented process that met the requirements of the university, and we coached him through it. We built up his confidence. He's now on that programme. He loves it. He's so confident. He's now talking about, the next level. He's already saying to me, would it be possible for me to look at a master's programme? He couldn't believe how easy it was and how, when he goes into the meetings, he's talking as someone with authority, somebody that's doing these things. People are listening to him. Academics are listening to him. And but the thing in his head, he had all these barriers. He didn't recognise the development he had gone through. He didn't recognise all the skills that he had. And it was like a chip in his shoulder. It was undermining his performance. So we've now got someone who's going to have a degree within the next 6 months, who'll be a fantastic member of our team, who's going to contribute even greater, who's going to be more confident, and who'll, basically bring along, who'll be invested in not only his own development, but further invested in the development of the people who he works with as well.
Mm. So a great asset to your company, and that's a common story we hear from our learners, that additional empowerment of people through that confidence building piece, not just the education that they receive, but those added human capital and personal and social capital gains that they get purely by going through an RPL process and being able to reflect on all of that wonderful informal and non-formal learning that they have, not just in the workplace, but as you say, outside, that experience through charitable work, through volunteering, as mentioned earlier. So can you tell us a little bit more? You said you worked very closely with the university in terms of that process. So what did you do to support Grant in identifying, or how did he bring this together? Did he design a portfolio? What did he do to present the evidence so that the university could assess that evidence?
So, yeah, I personally work closely with him. I've got a passion in learning and development. I have developed myself for many years. I professional qualifications, accreditations, etc. And what I did was I sat down with Grant, and one of the things is that I see Grant as somebody that can help take our organisation to the next level. So I invested a lot of personal time in him. And what we did is we started to explore the different roles that he'd done. We looked at his CV, we redid his CV. From there, we started doing a deep dive. What courses did you do? What activities were you doing? What are you doing in terms of your recreation? So we didn't follow any university. It was all fluid, it was all organic, and it just grew. And we started capturing different things and looking at it. And Grant was saying, oh, yeah, I can see how that works. So I was saying to him, tell me about times where you've led a meeting, and then he would say, these are the meetings that I led. Tell me some, meetings that stand out. There's a lot of people there. There's senior people there, external meetings. And what he did was he pulled all that together. Then once we had all that, and it was just lots of different pieces of information, we then went through the university structure. Now, what happened was, and these things happen, and we had the college was actually launching it for the university in that area. So it's something that we're doing at the local level. There's a recognition in our region, there's not enough people with qualifications that have gone on to university. And what they're trying to do is promote it through the college, and the college are fronting it for the university. What made it a bit difficult was the college had a RPL process and the university did. So we did the college one, we did it all, we set it all out, and then we had to redo it. But it's just a case of, cross referring. But we went through it, but it's a really good process. And as I say, The individual that I worked at the start of that process was a different individual by the end of it. They were far more confident, they were far more aware of their abilities. It's actually quite a cathartic process. You learn a lot about yourself, you develop as an individual, and the thing about it is you become more aware actually of the areas where you need to develop. And it's not a threatening thing, it's an opportunity all of a sudden because you suddenly realise just how good you are as an individual and how much better you could be. So that's the process that we went through. It was it's very structured. It was quite easy. Yes, it takes time for people who are not used to writing reports. It takes time, but that's a skill. We all need to learn to develop reports. And now we've got ChatGPT. It keeps us right and polishes up what we do. Not that I use it, but the thing about it is that it was a really good process. And the output from it is something you're actually proud of. You've got a portfolio of evidence. You've written it down. There's something about writing things down that makes it more real, more believable, and boosts your confidence. Oh, you're in mute, Kiara.
Apologies, I had muted myself. What you're essentially describing is not only the mentorship role that you took on de facto, Michael, but also how learners going through a process become reflective practitioners in those areas of their own life before they even embark on the educational piece, which is that pre-development of academic skill, which becomes more tangible within the educational piece. And you mentioned to me previously that did you work with an RPL advisor in then the university to kind of for the building blocks of bringing together all of that evidence into a portfolio? What did that advisor, how else did that advisor support you and Grant in that process?
We were very lucky. I mean, we've got a fantastic relationship with the college, and there was an RPL advisor who kept us right, but it was more a case of a sort of facilitation about guiding, how to put your best foot forward, reinforcing some of the things that I was saying. So it was like a partnership. It was very easy to go through. It wasn't like somebody judging you. It was somebody basically helping you, coaching you through a process. Somebody that's done it so many times before and they understand that and they can dig in. I had a good understanding. They've got a far better understanding. And it was really good because the thing about it is we're now looking to do this as a case study to help because Grant's ideal. He's in his 40s. He's a head of operations. He had no qualifications. It was holding him back to a degree. But if he's putting his CV, not that he would want to put his CV out there, but if he did, he'd be dismissed by a lot of these algorithms that are out there now. Oh, you need to have a degree. And he's such a talented individual. Now, that could be good for us. But the thing about it is all about developing people and helping them reach. If they choose not to stay with us, that's their choice. They might come back to us in the future because of the way that we looked after them. So it was a big investment in Grant, and it really has paid off. And having the RPL support there from the college, the advisor, is a very useful resource. And the thing about it is, there'll be other organisations like ourselves, SMEs, maybe not as knowledgeable about the process and it's all new to them. This wasn't new to me. I couldn't wait to get this started. And the passion and enthusiasm of mine rubbed off in Grant. And know what Grant did? He got two people in his team who were similar to them in management, and they're on the programme with them. So that we've got a nice wee cluster all learning from each other, bouncing ideas off, supporting each other, coaching each other. How's that for commitment? And that was because of the RPL process. He made that decision. This is really good. I should open this up to my team.
Mm.
And that was the decision he's made. So not only did we have one person, I didn't have to go chopping his door and say, please, could you go into this programme? Please, could you give me some other individuals? He's saying to me, please, Michael, can you put individuals in this programme? Can you make this happen for us? That's where you want to be. You want your leadership wanting to invest in development, wanting a programme like this that value RPL.
Mm. So leading by example, it's again it's a wonderful testament to this individual, Grant, whom I know is happy to share this story via this conference this morning, and so many others like him. I know many of us who work in the area have so many learners that we have seen excel in their careers, our subsequent careers, by using RPL as a mechanism to gain access to a program or to use RPL for exemptions, so that progression piece through their education. Was there any point, and I know I'm conscious of time, was there anything we were discussing earlier, Michael, some of the success factors and challenges that we face in RPL? Was there any part of the process where it got tough or tricky, or would you have any advice, if you were to give advice to anybody else or the learners going through it, what would that be?
View this as a learning process. Don't view it as a step towards learning. This is part of the learning process. And this is about self-reflection, which is even more powerful than the learning itself, reflecting where you are as an individual. There is a barrier sometimes with people, they'll view this as administration, as bureaucracy, it's something, a barrier to overcome. It's not that. It's a catapult. It's going to accelerate you through the programme. It's a good foundation in which to build your education programme on. So, as I say to you, yes, some people view it in a negative light. To me, it's very, very positive. It's very organic. It'll help the person develop. It's part of the whole overall learning process. And that's how to sell it. Don't view it as administration. It's not administration. It's about self-reflection, being coached by an expert through that, a journey through your past to focus in on your future.
Sage advice, Michael, I think for all of us to take on board in terms of our own practice and how we approach RPL. A final question from me, because we're running out of time, but please, if anybody else has any further questions, we do have some time for questions and answers. If you were to encourage other small medium enterprises to engage or to talk to their local university, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, grab this, see it for what it is. This is fantastic learning. The other thing as well is it's a way in which to maximise the resources in your odd. Don't put people through this training just for training's sake. Focus in on the needs. The only way of doing that is reflecting on the individual's current state in terms of learning. So view it from the point of view of a learning process. I'd put everybody in our organisation through an RPL, get everybody to have a learning portfolio. It's far more powerful than a CV. A
Mm.
CV is only a summary of what this whole document's about. We learn throughout life in so many different ways. It's not all about the workplace, and it's viewing that. SMEs, you've got a minimal budget, you've got minimal time, you've got minimal effort that you're able to apply in this. You want to maximise this. RPL will help you do that.
Mm, wonderfully said, Michael. Thank you for that. If we were to give one last word to Grant himself, as the learner, what do you think he would say?
I, why did I not do it sooner?
Yes, yes, yes. And that's brilliant. And thank you so much for clarifying that. I think a common thing we often hear from learners is, I think you've hit that nail on the head, is when they say, I've done the RPL program, because the process itself can feel like a program because of the effort and energy it takes to reflect on one's life and to gather that document, all those documents, and present that evidence. And so maybe for us here on the call, those of us who are engaged in practice, is something that we need to be cognizant of in terms of raising awareness and supporting learners. I think you've said that beautifully, that the RPL process itself is a valuable learning opportunity, regardless of the outcome. And while a learner may not be successful in their first attempt, there's huge learning and massive advantage to developing that portfolio of your life when they're becoming critical practitioners and reflective practitioners on their own life experiences. Michael, thank you so much. In that very short space of time, I think you've given us a really good insight to that journey that Grant has undertaken. We wish him the best in his continued studies and with that degree. And hopefully you'll have many more employees at ACS Clothing who follow in his footsteps. Sounds like you will, and go on with their education, and that reaps rewards for your company as well. Because let's not forget, you are a small, medium enterprise, and for you, it's about future sustainability and profitability, I'm sure, within your company. Michael, thank you so much. Agnes, over to you for a moment. Have you seen any questions arising for Michael while he is still with us?
Thank you, Michael. Well, there's a comment in the Q&A thanking you for your contribution. I think you made a big impression, and learning from the learners, that's what really makes the difference. So at the moment, there are no questions in the Q&A. We could open up to all panelists to see if there are any questions or comments, also to some of the former presentations. I was curious in my breakout room, before we had breakout rooms to discuss the success factors and challenges, as Chiara has referred to. And we discussed quite a lot that the commitment and communication, not only has to be done outwards, so to learners, to students, now from a higher education point of view, but also internally. And I was wondering, Michael, did you have at any point issues or challenges with internal communication in your enterprise to convince colleagues, superiors, whoever, for the benefit of RPL?
No, and the reason is with us, it's all about, because of what happened to us with Brexit and losing so many talented people, it's about survival and it's about moving towards prosperity. And what we all understand is we're only as good as our people. It's the people that make the technology work, that deliver our processes, that give us productivity, that generate profit. It's the people. And the more that we invest in the people, not just in development, but in other areas as well, the more that we'll get a return. So we're all on the same page. It did take us a crisis to come to that point, but once we're there, we're focused, and we have absolutely no hesitation in doing this and getting people on these programs. We're blessed with programs like the graduate apprenticeships and modern apprenticeships and foundation apprenticeships. We've got master's programs. There's fantastic programs out there. Good support from the Scottish Government. We've got a fantastic framework with SCQF as well. There's a lot of really good things happening in learning and development, focused in the workplace, focused in the circular economy. So, this is the right time for things like this. And I'm just glad that we got the opportunity of it and our people are.
Thank you. And we can really learn a lot in the institutions from a different view, a different perspective. There's another thank you for your presentation and the insights you gave us to guiding a candidate through the RPL journey. Thanks, Michael. Maybe from the other speakers and hosts of the sessions of the breakout rooms, are there any insights from the breakout rooms that you would like to bring to the floor here, since we have a few minutes left? Christina, please.
Yes, within our breakout room, we had really some interesting points. For my colleague from the University of Western Ireland, of our technical university of Western Ireland, and are there every year. Well, the last year there have been 200 applications for access, and that one of the biggest challenges was that the colleague told us that when the applications come in for access, which is May, June, often the program managers or the lecturers who give the certificates are on leave. So this is a quite interesting example how this normal administrative challenges will come and appear. And I think coming so far that you already have 200 applications for access, which is enormous, I think, and which is really a good success story. There's still challenges you have to foster and see, which are in our terms quite small, but when it comes to administration, it's quite a big thing in terms of overcome it. So yeah, but it was really interesting. It was really interesting that they have so many applications.
Thank you for sharing, Christina. Are there any ideas of how to overcome challenges, whether or other thoughts from the breakout rooms? Helene.
Yes, thank you. I also had a really interesting discussion in my breakout room, and my big takeaway from it was that the key success factor, which is very complex, of course, is to make RPL business as usual, to really integrate it in a university's everyday functioning in terms of making the possibility of RPL visible, even in the course catalog. That was, I think, a very interesting practice from Ireland. That I learned about, but also in terms of providing adequate student support, making sure that students are really very aware of the possibility of RPL, whether they themselves want to take advantage of the possibility, or whether they are just generally made aware of this as a general entry route, either into higher education or into specific courses, but also making it part of business as usual for the teaching staff involved. So it becomes less of administration and just more part of the regular work processes and regular work, everyday work, which I think is also something that Michael hinted at, not seeing RPL so much as an administrative extra, but just integrating it in the culture. And that also means integrating it in everything you do.
Thank you for making that clear, Helene. Chiara, you will pick up the comment from the Q&A, I see.
Yes, again, no, just thank you, Karen, just to say, and I think it's relevant to everybody, that it's a great story from Michael. I think it's great to have those stories because it humanizes the process when we understand the journey that the learner has taken, and it also highlights to us as practitioners those challenges and at what point along the process we face those challenges. So it's great to hear in the breakout room some of those were coming to light in terms of the potential of volume of applicants that might be coming through our doors. But I like what Karen has said. She said that Michael has highlighted his story embodying the importance of a solid sense of company purpose, vision, and values in both its processes and people, and a lot of learning for others there. So thank you, Karen, for that. I wanted to share that with everybody. Now, just in the last moment, I don't want to keep people from their well-earned coffee break, but I think somebody had raised their hand, and I just want to be sure we haven't excluded anybody if they would like to ask a question verbally. Let me check. If anybody had raised their hand and you can unmute yourself, please do and share your question or your comment with us.
Hi, Kira. I think it was me, Katrina from DCU. How are you?
Hello, Katrina. You're welcome.
Thanks very much, Kira. Thank you. No, I was just going to come in on the final point. I think that Elaine, Peter Barr raised just around making RPL business as usual, within universities and that it is very important that RPL it becomes part of that greater, that greater tapestry that are universities, but something that has come to the fore with our debates and discourse in DCU, just to add to that, is that, a lot of the program chairs are the academics. They're the people that assess the applications if there isn't a specific structure or process or administrative nucleus that would assess RPL applicants. And a lot of what we have seen is that the actual program chairs themselves are looking for training, are looking for education around that. So I think that is really important that that is looked at, and that, these are academics. They are not teachers. Um, they're academics in their field, and the processing of an application from anyone who is coming through with professional and work life, etc. Experience has to be looked at in a different way. And I think that if people, that everyone needs to maybe reassess how they approach that, but that in some way that we educate the academics in doing that work as well. And they're asking for that too. So just to add to that, to add to that discourse around that, I thought it was important just to support that point. And as I said, Elaine made that initially, that it is sort of that it becomes the norm as such. But thanks very much for letting me add that bit. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Katrina. It's such a valid and valuable point. And those academic
Kiara, you're frozen.
I'll just hop in very briefly while we're waiting for Kira to come back. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Monica.
Yes, hi. So thank you, Katrina, for the question. So I'm Monica Ward. I'm the Dean of Teaching and Learning at Dublin City University. And I'd just like to back up what Katrina said. So we do have training and resources for program chairs, but they're often sometimes they're overconfident in their ability to assess, and sometimes they're not really aware of the process. But I think knowing that there's a bigger national picture and a bigger European picture gives us, the people who have to support the process, more ammunition to encourage program chairs to get involved with the process. So I think events such like as these and the network itself are very helpful. But just to back up the point that chairs do need training, it's not their main focus. And kind of any national resource that are available to support that are very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will jump in here since I cannot see Kiara, who is actually moderating this part. But thank you for your comment. We do have one last question in the Q&A that I would like to raise and see who is able to answer it. In general, are there student unions integrated in the internal communication within higher education institutions? Asks Monica Wendel. Is there anyone who is able to provide an answer to her question? Is the role of student unions?
So
Please go forward.
I can come with this, Monica to Monica. So in DCU, we have a very strong student partnership module. And like in all the committees that we have, there's usually the student union vice president for academic affairs. So they would be aware of this, but my experience to date is that the RPL queries tend to come from outside the university. So they're not students who are already in the university, they're people external to the university who want to study here. And I mentioned in our breakout room, and somebody thought it was interesting that because we have RPL website, we have more information about RPL available in DCU, but across the other universities in Ireland. And because our courses are all in English, we have seen a big increase in queries from international students wanting to come to study in Ireland. So that creates another layer of interest that we hadn't thought before, and then we have to go into the process of recognizing international RPL experience and what does that do. But I'm sure we will be supported by Kira and others nationally in that space.
Thank you for answering that question, Monica, and back to you, Kira.
Thank you. Apologies. Zoom kicked me out, which is probably telling me that it is time for coffee break. Even Zoom needs a break. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions. Our coffee break is for 15 minutes. Then we will commence session 2. Just to remind people that session 2 is the collaboration and networking opportunity. It will take place from 11:15 till 12 o'clock. So if you are happy when you come back to be put into a breakout room for the purposes of networking and building relationships with colleagues from across various countries, please do rejoin us. If you prefer to not rejoin us for the breakout sessions, please feel free to stay absent for the next portion of the conference until we commence session 3 after lunch. Either option is perfectly fine with us. But we hope to see many of you back at 11:15. In the interim, please enjoy a cup of coffee and thank you.